Hello, so you're off for your weekend away, your summer camp, or maybe your festival, even maybe a couple of weeks holiday. You've made your list, you know exactly what you're going to take, and somehow you've got to fit it all in your van. Good luck with that. Well, today I'm going to give you some hints and advice, some ideas which you could utilize to make packing your van much easier. These ideas will differ depending on the vehicle you've got. Maybe you've just got a Kombi, maybe you've got a campervan, but there's lots of different layouts in a campervan. So I'm going to give you some ideas which could suit everybody. My Kombi, for instance, has got 2 sliding doors and a tailgate, but maybe your campervan conversion's only got 1 sliding door, and you might even have barn doors. But I've still got ideas for you too. If you've been following me for some time, you will know that I bought this Kombi van and made some changes. Some of them which I needed to do because it was such a shoddy conversion, but we won't talk about that today. One of the things which I got stuck on, and still as today, I haven't actually done anything with it. I did do the full sound editing and insulation in here, but I stopped at the 2 sliding doors because I couldn't decide exactly what I wanted to do. I like the idea of the Campervan's door pockets. I think they're really good. The problem with these is, yes, they are great for putting your items in there, but if you leave anything sticking out of that storage and you actually open the door, then that goes down the side of your van and actually can scratch your paintwork. So it's not ideal. So I did think that maybe I could actually design something else, maybe something with a flap on it so you actually couldn't have anything sticking out. But the more I looked at it, it just seemed more implausible because you was effectively just limiting that space. So I did actually give up trying to design one, but that might just be me and my design skills, not particularly good. But also because I just found so much better use of the locate table. Now the locate table, you might have seen, this is becoming more and more popular in conversions because this actually sits in just one of the sliding doors and is actually a table which you can pop out. So what that means is you've got that big bulky table, which in normal circumstances, you might be putting in the back of your van or something like that. Well, there's actually a space in a dead space, a space which you're not really going to be utilizing for anything else unless you've got these pockets and you're risking scratching your doors. So these tables are brilliant, but also the benefit of it is it's not a table which just attaches to your kitchen unit, so you can only use it inside your camper van. You can actually use it outside your van. You can utilize the chairs which you've got, take it out your van, even take it way away from your van if you wanted to. Not that you probably would, but you can do if you want to. It's a great storage location for such a big item, saving storage inside your van. It's a win-win, triple win for your van because you can take it away as well. Alternatively, if you've got barn doors, so obviously that's the doors which open like that rather than the tailgate which opens like that. A big positive, you can actually store your table inside here, and some of the barn door conversions have done this. So you've got your table on the back of your door. So again, actually utilizing that dead space, which wouldn't really be used for anything else. But if you did have a tailgate, then something which you could use is some of the chair holders, which you will have seen quite a lot in the Volkswagen Californias. But now there's actually a couple of companies who actually make these chair pods themselves, which they fit on the tailgate, and you can actually store your chairs in there. I'm not going to recommend any of them because I've not actually used them, but you can see them, and they are both very, very good systems. Again, it's just perfect for utilizing pretty much dead space, although the chairs will come inside your conversion a little bit, so you might have to be careful. If you've got a kitchen unit down this side, or if you've got a rock and roll bed, which does come out quite far into the conversion, do check that they do actually fit it. And more dead space which can be utilized for storage is your walls. Now, if you do have a camper van, then the chances are you've only got one wall which has actually got nothing on it, and that actually might even be a window in some conversions. But cargo nets are really quite good for putting on here. Now obviously you're not going to be putting big items on there because unless these panels are really properly fixed in and secure, then heavy items are just going to come out. But these cargo net pockets are very, very useful for putting books, magazines, maybe your mobile phone in there, something which you can put the small items in. And when you're actually lying down in bed, you can just pop your magazine or your book in there rather than trying to put it somewhere else. Just a little bit of an area which you can utilize, and it's again pretty much dead space, unless you're going to put a bigger screen TV on there and some photo frames and things like that, which some people do because they want to make it homely. It's just another idea. But actually, if you don't have a window in your tailgate, you can actually put a larger cargo net in there, and you can store some bigger items in there, although I certainly wouldn't be putting heavy items in there. But again, you could just utilize that dead space if you've not got a window. So what other options have you got? Well, in my Kombi, I've actually got these cubes, which when I picked them up, they were actually 10 quid each. Now they have actually suffered quite a significant price increase. They've gone up 20%. They're now 12 quid. So obviously still a bargain. Now they're actually padded lids, and I'm actually sat on another one now. They're really, really useful. You can put lots of things in there, leave them in the van, and actually use them as seats, like I've said. Also got another use of it as well. It's actually a toilet cubicle. No, I'm not that small, I can't fit in it. I am small, but I can't use it as a proper toilet cubicle. But it's a toilet cube, so my toilet is in one, and I can just lift it up and use it as I so wish. I just find them really useful, and even if you've got a camper, you can use them. Although these are more likely to actually be put in between the front and the rear seats, so you certainly do want to be securing these, because you don't want to be driving around in an unsecure load, which I have spoken about many times before. But also the beauty of these is, if you did put them in there, and then you put your awning up later on for extra storage for while you're driving away, you can actually put the cubes in there as well, as long as you've got a sewn in ground sheet, because obviously you wouldn't want them getting wet with that morning dew or anything. But you can put them in your actual awning, you can use them as seats or extra storage in there as well. And they actually fold away really easily. So you can actually just pack them away and not actually store anything in them whilst you're taking them somewhere, and just have them packed in your van, ready to open up and store items in when you actually get to site. And as I've said, an awning is great space for when you actually get to site. The purpose of it is, it's a drive away awning. So you put the awning up, put your gear and things in there, and then you can just drive away with an empty van. Perfect. But obviously you've got to pack the awning first. So where are you going to put that? Well, I'll come on to that a little bit later on. But back inside the van, and more specifically to campervan conversions. Now there are several different designs and several different layouts of these campervan conversions, from your cheap mass-produced knock-on edging units to your nice fancy solid wood bespoke units. But generally the designs and the storage access is pretty much similar, unless you've got a type approved conversion, and then you're not likely to have many shelves above the top of your cooker for regulatory reasons. And in the back of the conversion, you've generally got a tambour door. Now, whether this opens top to bottom or side to side, the tambour door is generally an area which stores quite a large space behind it, a big area for putting things. Now, you could utilize this for putting some of the bigger items, your duvets, your pillows and things like that, maybe your dry robes or your clothes. You can actually have some hooks inside and actually use it as a wardrobe. So that's one possibility which you can use that big area for. Alternatively, if you didn't want to do that, because some people put the bedding underneath, or another place I'm going to tell you again in a minute, you can actually put shelves inside these units, so you can actually utilize that bigger area but store more smaller items in there by putting some shelver units in there. It's quite an easy DIY job, and it's something which you can do yourself. And some other units inside the actual camper van. Now, it's not something which you're probably going to want to do, change an existing conversion if you've already got it, but some big bulky items which take up a lot of space inside a camper van conversion are your water tanks, which can sometimes be inside, and also your gas cylinders as well. Now, if you are getting a new conversion, or you're thinking about changing the one you've got, you could have the water tank external underneath the van, and also the LPG tank. You'd be surprised how much space these actually take up. Some of the type approved conversions have actually got a special made water tank which utilizes that dead space around the rear wheel arch within that actual unit itself. This is again quite good, but equally you could have that outside. You know, if you've got a several litre tank, it's actually going to be quite a sizable object. So having that not inside means you can utilize that for putting crocs and dry robes and other things which you want to take with you. But maybe you don't want everything in your cupboard. And I've spoke about previously the hooks. Now, the metal hooks are really good, but actually if you've got a campervan conversion, there's not actually going to be that much metal so you can actually stick them to. But you can still utilize these if you've got some metal on your tailgate for hanging up your wetsuits when you've been out in the sea and you need them to dry out. So hooks can be quite useful, even if it's not going to be for storage, for taking things away. But storage can be utilized on the rear of the front seats. There's lots of different options for this. There's loads of really, really cheap ones on Amazon and places like that. And I've got them from there in the past, and they don't particularly last a long time. You could spend a little bit more and get a product like Stitches and Steel, which is a good brand, and I've got quite a few of their things myself. And these are good because they go on the back of your front seats, and you can be putting all sorts of different items in there. But you do have to be careful though, because if you've got swivel seats at the front, then you're going to be making sure that when it does actually swivel, that it isn't going to be catching on anything else. Because if you've got things sticking out, it might be scratching some of your woodwork on your cupboard surfaces or something like that. But they are really effective for putting pretty much little items in there. But you can be putting drinks cups in there and things like that. They're actually very useful. Or as a cheaper option, you can just actually get some hooks to go on the back of the seats, which actually fit into the headrest. And these are like £5 for 4 or something like that. And you just pop them on the back. And these are, you can hang bags on there. You could potentially hang your clothes on there. You could hang your coats and things like that. Just a cheap option, just to kind of have something out the way so it's not cluttering up the floor area or something like that. Because you don't want to be cluttering that floor area. And if you do have things on the floor, then it's actually a good idea to make sure that they actually are secure in place. It is illegal to drive around with an unsecure load. So getting some bungee cables or something like that, some rope to make sure that things are tied down, things do not move, they are actually secure in the place which you've put them. And certainly don't be putting loose items on top of your kitchen units, because when you slam on those brakes or you have an accident or something, those things are going to fly around and it can hit somebody and cause some damage. So make sure you think and make sure you keep those things secure. But if you're looking for some more space to actually put some bigger items, then you could potentially get a roof box. Now I've got the 2-lay roof box, and it's great for my van. Now I've got a Kombi and I've not got a pop top, so I don't have to be worried about any roof weight restrictions or anything like that. I can pop it on there and I don't have to be concerned. But if you do have a pop top, then actually putting a roof box on the top, you do need to be careful about what that weight limit is for your pop top, because it will be weight restricted. Because you've got to think about, obviously, it lifting up and things like that, and what you're going to be putting in there. So it is great to have a roof box, but make sure you know what your weight restriction is and don't be putting heavy items in there. But as I said to you before about the bedding and things like that, some people will get a roof box and put the bedding and the duvets and the sheets and things like that in there, because they are bulky items, but they're also quite light. So putting the bulky items in there out of the way, it really can free up some space internally inside the van. But something else which I probably will get in the future, especially when this van does actually go and I have a full campervan conversion, and that will be the 2-lay cargo carrier. And it's a cargo box that goes on to the back of the 2-lay bike carrier, and it actually gives you several hundred litres of extra storage. So this is a good item to have. And the way the actual bike carrier works is it can drop down, so you can still have access to the tailgate or your barn doors, whatever you've got. They will actually still open when you've got that on there. Just some extra storage ideas which you might not have actually thought of. But if you haven't actually thought about what you're going to take, you haven't planned it out properly, then you can have a look at that video here. Thanks for watching, take care, and I hope to see you soon.